boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. We got a good one for you today. Why? Because I said so. Hey, we're going to talk about, is marriage a risk or reward? And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because in the world that we live in, there's a conversation about we shouldn't get married or we should get married. And there are, people that disagree on both sides and agree on both sides. So I want to talk to my panel and see what they think. And so the question of the day is, let me get to it. What is something you learned from the person you like the least? I know people don't. I had to think about this question, and I'm gonna answer first this time since I've already thought about it. I said that I learned from the person I like the least consistency. One of the things that I have been having a hard time with and still working on is being consistent in everything that I do, specifically related to my business. And so what I've seen from them is that their consistency has allowed them to build them an empire as it relates to in their business. I'm consistent in other areas, but not in my business and how I should be. So that's what I've learned from the people that I like the least. And so we're going to welcome to the stage. We got a really dope panel. She been gone for a minute. I thought she forgot about us. You know what I'm saying? Thought she was quitting, you know what I'm saying, putting in her 2-week notice. But she say she back. What's up, Shaq?
You would just put me out first. That's just payback, huh?
Listen, I you knew you was coming because I said I gave you a really good introduction. You know.
Thank you. You know, it was tax season. Well,
Yeah.
it still is, but
Yeah.
the rush of it all.
Before you go, tell us about the business. What you do?
I am a tax accountant, tax strategist. We work with taxpayers, helping them prepare and file their tax returns in certain categories, though. So, small business owners, investors, wealth, which is $1 million or more, and then our high income earners, church clergy, and nonprofit.
That's a bet. So, you got the question?
I do have the question. What have I learned from someone who I like the least?
Yeah.
It's okay if the feelings are mutual. Like, you can feel the same way and you can agree that you both like each other the least and keep it moving. And so when those connections aren't working, you can make a decision and mutually agree to dissolve that relationship. So I take that with me in business. When connections aren't working, I do fire clients, and it's just not working, and it is okay.
That's what's up. Hey, I appreciate you being here again. And then we got coming back to the stage. You know, they say she looked like Rosie Perez, right? Now I don't know if she agree. You know what I'm saying? That's on her. Okay, I don't know. But she has a lot of wealth of knowledge, and so we're gonna see what she got to say this evening. She was shaking her head backstage, but let's see what she said. Welcome to the stage.
Hey. Hello. Fine, I'm great.
Good. Have you heard that before, that you look like Rosie Perez?
I heard a couple of people, but yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to use it again. Okay.
Yeah.
I won't use it no more though, because I don't like using old stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got the question?
I do.
Okay.
And from the person that I like the least, I learned that a snake can sit in the sun for a really long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you break that down?
So they'll smile in your face while the sun is out and for years. And you never really know until they strike. So I learned that a snake can sit in the sun, they have longevity. So you won't always see an enemy immediately, but eventually they'll show themselves.
Okay, I got that. I'm gonna have to come back to that. That made me think of a question. That's what's up. And welcome to the stage, the young OG. You know what I'm saying? He's young, but he's old at heart.
Yeah.
But he got a young name. Martavius Young. What it do?
HD, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be a part of it. What you got?
For me, I would say what I learned from the person I like the least is they want to see you do good as long as it's not better than them. Like I said, it wasn't that we was enemies forever. It started out at a point, but once you started to grow, and once you started to outgrow them, it came to the point where that same thing that they celebrated you for became bitterness towards you. And like you say, when you start doing good, you hear about it from everybody except that person. So it always came back to you. So for me, it was just understanding like everybody don't have your back. And the only way to know is to start doing something good. And when you start hearing from other people about that person, then you understand everything was fine. We was on the same level. But when I started to grow, then I started to see who you really are. So sometimes it takes you invested in yourself to see who's really in your circle and who's really in your corner. So they want to see you do good as long as it's not better than what they're doing. You on mute, HD.
Dia, before we go next, can you tell the people where they can find you? Is it on the on your screen? You're on mute. Listen, we're having a Dwayne-like moment, so we got to keep this together.
I'm sorry. They can find me right now on IG at A Rose from Rubble.
That's a bet. And what about you, Martavius? Where can they find you?
They can find me at Martavius Young pretty much everywhere, and D Young Fam on YouTube.
That's a bet. And so I'm gonna bring next to the stage. The reason why I didn't bring him first is because he never has an answer, so I wanted to give him some time to collect himself. Okay. He already know what it is. Prototype.
What's going on?
What's up, bro?
Man, I still don't have an answer.
No,
No, because Martavius threw me off. He said something that kind of threw me off. So I was like,
Okay.
"Damn, that changed my whole thought process," but I couldn't collect that either. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So, oh man, what's the question? What have I learned from the people
You like the least.
that I like the least?
Yeah.
It's never personal. Do your job and stay out their way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So
that's good. That's good. Give you a plug, bro. Where can they find you?
you can find me on YouTube. There's a group of us, Prototype Dad on YouTube. We on Spotify, Google, and any platform you on. Prototype Dad is there. Find us on IG, Prototype Dad Podcast.
That's a bet. And I'm gonna welcome to the stage. Been knowing her for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I make fun of her for being from Houston because she deserves it. All right. My homie, my sis. What's up, Shan?
Good evening, good people. How y'all doing?
Been good. Hey, me and Shan, we used to didn't like each other. So us being on the
Facts.
screen together is a big deal.
Facts.
So you got the
Oh
question.
God, we're not gonna go there, are we?
Not today.
So it's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, for sure.
We've grown so much. I'm so proud of us.
For sure. You got the question?
Yes, I heard it.
Yeah.
So what I've learned from someone I like the least. God, I had a whole thought, and then you start talking about Houston. Cover your behind, keep it covered. Okay, always cross your I's and cross your T's and dot your I's. And then the second thing, oh man, look at here. Oh, that's what I was saying. I was thinking, talk less and watch more.
Talk less and watch more.
Yeah,
I need to work on that one.
talk less and watch more
For sure.
because
And
people
then-
will show you exactly who they are. if you shut up and stay out the way. So yeah.
A lot of head nods. You must have seen that before. That's what's up. And then I'm gonna welcome to the stage. I know he got his mic off mute. Already off top. Mr. Dwayne Jones.
Yo. Am I on mute? I just say I check myself too. Oh man. What I learned is that cold don't feel too good on your head. Burning cold. So this gentleman, I couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him. And end up getting a little enjoyed myself a little too much at this little club after I got my feelings hurt and passed out in the club. Next thing I know, all the friends I came there with didn't know how to drive a stick. And then out of nowhere, here comes this guy I did not like. And he ended up driving us home because he knew how to drive a stick. I was like, dang, I don't know how to take that. So that switched it up real quick for me. So
wow.
He ain't on that hate list. He right there in on the borderline. All right, you cool.
So you changed your mind based on him being able to drive you home.
Oh, absolutely. Because if that was me, I'd been like, yeah.
It looks like Dwayne's an acts of service kind of guy.
Hey, no, absolutely. I'd have been out of luck, man. Out of luck. And then out of nowhere, he ended up being at the same place. I'm like, you of all people? Drove us home, help take care of me up the stairs and all that with my other friends. I'm just saying, sometimes over drinking make a fool out of yourself. So that humbled me real good. So
that's what's up. Hey, welcome to the stage, my homie, my friend, Uncle Ricky. What's up, fam?
What's happening? What's good, everybody? Pop.
Good.
Solid. Did you get the question?
No.
Is the question is, what is something you learned from the person you like the least?
The person I like the least?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I know.
The person I like the least, don't wait too long. That's for everything. Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long to tell the person you love them. Don't wait too long to learn to disassociate with people. Right? Don't wait too long.
Why? Why don't wait too long? Can you expound on that?
It's just in my humble opinion, and this applies to me. I think this applies to a lot of Black people, right? Because we sit in it too long. We establish things and have to break that down and start over for no good reason. You know what I mean? I see it a lot with our people, right? People keep doing the same stuff, going through the same thing, establishing themselves, not really having a plan, breaking it up and have to start all over somewhere else. Right? People 50, 60 years old doing the same thing. Right? You get a job, you get settled, you get stupid, doing the same stupid stuff you did, you lose it, now you got to move to a new city and start over. Right? So I think that's the biggest thing. Know when to leave.
That's good. Know when to leave. So as we transition into the some of the main topics, I think that's a good point, like knowing when to leave. But we're gonna talk about when you first met your spouse or your significant other or who it is, your boo thing right now. What was your first impression of them? What was your first impression? All right. Give you a moment to think, give you some think time. Ain't that how you do it, Shan? Give them think time. All right. That's what we do as teachers. And what's crazy is about that is that you can give them all the time in the world and they still won't have an answer. You know what I mean, prototype? I was just all right. We'll start with you, Dia. What were your first impressions of your spouse?
I couldn't stand him. He lived across the street when we were much younger, but we started at 13. I was 13 and he was 14. So couldn't stand him because he harassed me. Oh my God, it
He
was
would
terrible.
harass you? Is that what you
Yes, we were kids, and he used to harass me. I used to harass him too, I guess, in my own way. But it wasn't because I liked him. It was because I couldn't stand him because he used to harass me. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the truth. I couldn't. It was terrible. But yeah, that was my first impression. He got on my nerves.
I bet. Who you got going next?
Shan.
Oh, that's a tough one. My ex-spouse. I thought it was petty. Honestly, I was like, this dude right here, he can be a little petty at times. Like, I need him to grow up. We need to stop playing games all the time with people. He was a harasser too. Yeah, he was a harasser too. And sarcastic as all get out. I don't do well. The whole family, the whole Humble Dad family with the sarcasm. Like, this what we doing? Because y'all know I pop off at the mouth. So yeah, it was, yeah. Bless God. He's brought me a long way. You know it's true.
Who you
Thank
talking
you,
to?
Shay. Them with the sarcasm. That was.
Can you already said sarcasm. Can you pick somebody else?
I'm sorry, I was still reflecting. And
Okay.
it was bothering me a little bit. Yeah, it was bothering me. Come on, Martavius. He likes to bring in the good positive energy. Mr. Young.
Yeah, my first impression, I met my wife in the bar, and I told my homeboy she was gonna be my wife. So I immediately found on social media, and I think I was impressed by her social presence. She just posted a lot of motivational stuff, and then I would just go through I found out that I forgot to like, and I told her I liked what she was doing, and she was like, "You didn't like anything, so you're stalking." So didn't quite get out on the wrong foot with that. But it ended up working out. So my first impression, I said she was gonna be my wife, and I didn't know it was a process to actually becoming a husband, and it came into fruition. So
what was it about her that you was like, I'm gonna marry her? Like, you had already talked to her, or you just saw her?
Our story is crazy. That was my first time seeing her. She just looked, I don't know, I think because I was ready, because I had already got myself right with God, and like I've done it my way for so long, even though I'm in the bar and playing football, South Dakota. And I just think I was ready mentally. And I was like, I'm tired of like doing all the stuff. So like I was just prepared. So when she walked in, I just feel like, something was just right. And then come to find out she kind of had that same feeling towards me. Because I mean, I'm not gonna go into the story, but how it all played out, if I did, y'all would be like mind blown. But I just felt like it was like something about her. And then when I saw her social, it kind of lined up with what I was doing. And I was like, okay, this is something that we can build on. And I kind of knew for sure at that point, and just started literally just reaching out. And, I didn't give up until she gave in and gave me a chance.
So you were stalking her. Is that what you
Pretty
said?
much. I mean, it ain't stalking unless they go report it. So,
okay. Okay. Who you got going next?
I'm gonna go Prototype.
Yeah. Man, my significant other. When did I know she was the one? It was her family background for me. The fact that she had like a dad that was a deacon.
No, what was your first impression?
Well, I mean, it was regular. You know what I mean? Like, I ran the streets a little bit, right? So it wasn't nothing spectacular. And then when you get to talking to her, like, oh, you come from, your mom and dad been married for what, 20 years? Your siblings are in school or, graduated college and, went to like big schools and they don't play sports, or, they were athletic, but they didn't go to school for sports. You know what I'm saying? They went to school for like academics and stuff. And that's when, and then she was athletic. So that's kind of like, yeah, I'm probably going to marry this one. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I got caught up in wanting somebody from the, something I didn't have. She had a mom and dad situation. So I was like, oh, okay. So because I want that, she would know how to function in that. So that's what kind of like, you know what I mean, got me there. But man, let's go with Dwayne.
All right. Well, I'll go keep it real. It was a little shallow. I was like, man, first impression, she fine. Oh, she fine. All right, check. And then go down the list. Oh, she got a personality. Okay. Got a good head on her shoulder? Check. Ran her credit score without her knowing? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Let's go with Shay. Yep. It's contagious.
That was it. I was just like, where did you come from? Like, who are you? Because he kind of chased me down the subway. And I was like, what do you want? Who are you? And yeah, that was my first impression. I was just looking at him like, why did you chase me down these stairs in the subway? And what do you want? Do I know you? I'm not from here, so I don't know nobody here. So you should know me. So I don't know why you chasing me down these stairs. So that was my first impression.
This is crazy. Women want a dude to holler at them. Dude, holler at him. They think that he's stalking, or they think that he has a problem. Am I missing something?
No,
He
I
ended up
mean,
being your spouse.
when you're in a new city, first of all, and you're in a subway, and someone is like, "Hey," and you like, do I know
Well, if
you?
it was a criminal, they not giving you a warning.
I don't know what criminals do. Some of them do because they slick, right? So they'll give you a whole bunch of warnings. The government give you warnings every day. Police officers too. So if you really want to talk about that, but yeah. So he was just like, "Hey," and I was looking around. He was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you," and I was like, "I do not know this person." So I fled down them stairs. And he came flying down the stairs too. I was like, this is weird. So I didn't know what he wanted. I didn't know who he was. I mean, it's a subway.
Got you. Okay, got you. Who you got next?
Doug.
Let's go. It's on you, Ricky.
Oh, sorry. When I first met my wife, I was like, she's not even my type. Real shit. She's not even my type.
So at the time, what was your type?
Short, thick, sassy at the mouth. She wasn't that.
Wow.
You say you trust the big booty and the smile, huh?
Oh, I used to all the time. Knowing too, you know what I'm saying? Knowing, hey, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? I know she ain't right. I'm talking about within the first 5 minutes of hearing her talk, for real. All right.
Really?
First 5 minutes. Yeah. But no, she was different. She was way different, bro. Nah. That's why I tell people you got to learn to change your attractions. Only you control you. Yeah, that's what I first thought about her. My first impressions.
That's dope. With Kendra, my first impression of her was that because I had only seen her or talked to her through Facebook, I thought that she was pretty intelligent, based on the conversation that she was having. Like for real, she was like had exclamation. What was it? She had punctuation marks, and she had capital letters in her responses. I was like, not too many people doing that out here. And then she was pretty eloquent. Not when they responded on Facebook. And also she made me think about what I had posted originally. And I'm typically the guy that can't nobody change his mind just that quickly. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what kind of intrigued me in the beginning. And that made me go look and see her picture. And I was like, oh yeah, I think she's a baddie. Right. And so that's how mine kind of started. And so as we transition, I want to talk about then when we have this first impression, then there's a series of moments when we get into this relationship and we begin to have conversations. We spend time together and we get to see if we like each other even that much more. So my question would be, how did you know things were getting serious? How did you know things were getting serious? Ricky, I'll let you pick first. Who would you like to go first?
You know, I always like to hit D talk. A rosefortherebel.com, please.
That's a bet.
I knew when I told him that I was a virgin and that I did not plan to have intercourse until I was an adult. So that would not be the basis of our relationship. So that's pretty much when I knew that, you know, we were going to talk more, but that was going to be the gist of it. So that's how I knew.
And what was his response to that?
I'm sure he was thinking that wasn't gonna last long, but he didn't respond in a negative way. He was just like, okay. I mean, we were kids. Like, I was 14.
How long y'all been together?
This year it'll be 34 years.
Damn, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's very dope.
That's dope.
34
Congratulations.
You don't got the round of applause for that one. You don't got the round of applause sound effect.
I don't have that yet, bro.
There you go.
That's dope.
Who you got going next, dear? Or are you finished? Were you finished?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Who you got going next?
Dwayne.
Well, it started to get I don't know if this was like reverse psychology or what, but this was like on both parts. It was like, hey, we can't fall for each other. That's whenever we knew. Oh, got him. Saying, hey, no, we can't fall for each other. We can't fall for each other. But yes, that it was Martevi, just like you said, like we go through, we know whenever it's that time. So we both were like, we knew it was getting serious. Now we started off as friends. So whenever we were talking about, hey, we can't be falling for each other, that's whenever we knew it was starting to get serious. So then we're like, all right, we ain't kidding ourselves. We're feeling each other. So I'll say that's whenever things started getting serious, whenever we start to articulate that to each other jokingly, and then it got to the point where it's like, all right, we kidding ourselves, but we're also going the same direction. So that's whenever we're both at that juncture in our lives where, hey, it was time to try and settle down. So, and Mr. Ricky.
Oh, when I knew. When I it was like I couldn't see days not seeing her. You know what I'm saying? It's like it got to the point where when I started my day, every plan included her. So hey, let me holler at her. I'm gonna see her to do that. I was like, oh, okay. Right. And it probably, and I don't think it was on her part, it was on my part, right? That's why I knew I had to I just had to step on the gas. Right. Start putting it, hey, what's happening? Oh, we friends now. You want to be my friend. You already my friend. What's happening? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how I knew. Shay, what you got?
I will say when he started becoming more protective over my movements and what I was doing, then I realized it because, he was really looking out, making sure that I was safe, I was secure, and that things were good.
Who you got?
Prototype, did you go?
No, I ain't go yet.
Okay.
But man, like I said, I knew when her family checked out. You know, like I said, when I found out her dad was a deacon and her mom, kind of followed. And back then, when I met her, I was really on my G Craig kick, and so like I was saying a lot of stuff based off of this journey I was on, my spiritual journey at the time. And she would be like, that stuff my dad would say. You sound like my dad. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, oh, she gets it. So that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what sparked it. The fact that I said something that correlated with her and that she heard from her father, that kind of let me know, like, oh, she, like, this, I need to ride out with this one. You know what I'm saying? Of course, with the athletic family background and all that kind of stuff too. So, and her mama was little. You know what I'm saying? Like her mom was like nice. I was like, okay, I got something. You know what I mean? She good. So let's go with Martavius.
For me, like I said, when I saw her in the club, she still didn't give me a chance, so I kind of still started reaching out for probably 2 or 3 months, and then she finally, she said she was bored. She was moving to Dallas, Texas, and she needed somebody to text with, and so she finally reached out to me, and we just started long distance for about just texting and talking on the phone for about 5 or 6 months, and then she came back home here to South Dakota, and we kind of met that first time ever since kind of seeing her in the club that night, and it was just like one of those moments. Like I said, I knew, and when I saw her again after talking for that long, I just kind of picked her up, and I knew we were serious. When she asked me after that, like, what are we? And I knew at that point, like, we was locked in forever. So I kind of knew it. Like I said, she kind of made it pretty clear, what are we? And I already knew in my mind what we were. So that was it. I'll go with Shan.
For me, I was on a different, I guess, part of my spiritual journey, the beginning of my spiritual journey. And I knew things were getting serious when we had a dream about each other. Like I had my own separate dream, kind of revealing who he was and what he was meant to be in my life. And he had one. And when I came to him and shared that moment with him, he also shared like pretty much at the same time, like this whole thing had happened to him. And so I think just having that that moment together spiritually is what kind of led us to believe that it was time for us to move into something a little bit different than where we were as friends. And so, you know, it was just the way that God moved through us at the time let us know that we needed to move forward in our relationship.
I would agree to your dream too. If a woman I was interested in said, I had a dream about you and it was about this, I'd be like, me too. So we can finish the rest of this thing out.
That's possible.
Did you say that he just agreed to it because
Yep.
But it wasn't like that. It wasn't a marriage dream.
We know.
Yeah.
It was on the same theme of whatever the dream it was you had.
You had a dream about me? Oh man, I had a dream about you too. What was your dream? Oh man.
It wasn't exactly like that, but yeah, it was similar.
It was similar, yup.
Yeah.
The roses in the tree in the boat, yup, true. Yup, I seen that too.
But the place well, you know, me and y'all think different, so that's quite possible.
Let's talk. What you mean? What you mean? Men think different?
I guess from a woman, I probably wouldn't. If he would have came and told me that, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, okay, you had a dream." But I don't know if I would marry a man if where we were in our relationship and how things were going. I think that's why it made sense. But if it was just some random. A guy told me that today, I'd probably be looking at him because I know where I am in relationships. So I wouldn't necessarily trust that. But it was a different season. It was a different time. And so, yeah, I'm comfortable enough to say that I don't think that he was trying to play games or play with me. So yeah, I get that part. I just don't think that's what it was.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody gonna believe you though, Shane.
I could care less.
I know.
That's the great thing about me. You don't have to agree with anything that I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'm gonna move on.
Listen, that's all like
I do
everybody
me
on
just
the panel.
fine.
Facts.
Yeah,
that's all like everybody on the panel. Has there been somebody that hasn't went?
I think everybody went.
All right, that's a bit. All right, so kind of chill answers, and so that's good. Like kind of getting to know. The purpose of the questions are for people to kind of get an idea of what they need to be looking for, or what they can look for whenever they are pursuing someone, or is being pursued. So and so everybody has a different experience, right? So and so as you get into the relationship and you have these conversations, do you remember a moment where you was like, man, I don't know, I don't know. Should I continue to the moment of pursuing, or should I continue to let them pursue me? Or was it always, you know what, this is it, and we just going to get married and to the finish line? Was there a moment of time where you doubted, and then how did you get over that doubt, if you did? And if you didn't doubt, what continued to allow you to move forward? Does that make sense of a question? Okay.
Can you repeat it, please?
No. All right. So the question is, have you ever doubted, like, you know, you're in this courting phase? Was there a moment where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be with this person? And you say, okay, well, obviously you got to the finish line. What was it that was able to help you get over that doubt? And then if you never doubted, how were you able to never doubt that this was the person that you were going to be with? Okay. All right. We'll start with you, Mr. Young, Martavius Young. And then anybody can chime in. Okay.
Man, I never doubted. Like I said, when I saw her, I knew physically, like, she's a beautiful woman, everything about her. But like I said, when I saw her social page, for me, everything has to be in alignment. And like what she was posting, she was in the military and I played football. So for me, like, that structure, she have a foundation. She's not out here just doing everything. She's a disciplined woman. So I knew that, and that's something that myself, I need that as well. And so like everything was just in alignment, and then just talking to her, it wasn't like shallow conversations. It wasn't just talking about the weather. It wasn't just talking about like simple things that you want to do. It was talking about life, what you want to do outside of life. She's challenging me, getting me think bigger than, like, I'm from a small town in Alabama. Like, she stretched my mind beyond that, because all I knew before that was football and sports and going and everything being team focused. So now she has me thinking family focused and things of these nature. So I never wavered from that. And I just think having the conversations with her and just being, I think just being open to learn and open to see from a woman's perspective. Because I think before that, everything else was like, you know, how can I get to first base? How can I do this? How can I like win you over? And then it's like, I'm not trying to win you over. I'm trying to win with you. I want us to be on the same team going after something. And like I said, like, my entire mindset had already been switched to, like, when I said like she's gonna be my wife, like here was the thing. Like, I believe when you say something, God is gonna give you an opportunity to prove yourself true. My opportunity came in the form of what I wanted, a woman. And I had a chance with another girl. And for the first time, I just knew things wasn't, because she was shy, quiet. I was the same. So it didn't really hit off. And I didn't try anything with that girl. And coming down to it, my wife thought I was a player because I played football, but this girl was a close friend. So when it came time to ask questions about me, the person who vouched for me was this girl. And that's when my wife decided, okay, he's not a player, he's actually a good guy. And she reached off based off of that conversation with that one girl that I thought with the right head. So for me, everything was just in alignment, being ready, and just seeing the way that she was living her life. She's going to the gym, she's trying to do things. And I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna find something else. Like, if you think this isn't enough for you, then nothing will ever be enough for you. Like, that's for me and where I was in my season. So I just knew. And why the reasons that I didn't doubt was, like, I've done things my way for so long, and it had only gotten me so far. So I knew it was just time to do something different and really just start being a man and like thinking long term and thinking about who I want to build my life with. And she was just that person for me. So I'll go ahead and pass mine off to Dia.
Well, in the beginning, we were both kind of products of our environment based on where we came from. So me being the woman, of course, I kind of changed my life first. I made the decision that the jail wasn't for me based on, you know, how we was rolling. And so I changed my life, and I required him to do the same. I got pregnant and decided that I was going to have my son, and I knew I was a wife. So ultimately I was that before I gave him an ultimatum that he needed to get a job and a ring, or we couldn't be. Because I wanted to raise my son in a better condition than I grew up in. So I gave him an ultimatum and he stepped up to the plate. So that's when I knew that was the question, right? The question was,
So you telling me, Dia, that you required marriage from your husband? Is that what it was? Did you require it from him?
absolutely. I knew I was a wife. I was a wife long before I got married. And I slipped up and I got pregnant. So I really needed to be a wife. And I was getting older. So we got married when I was 26. And I was coming up on that's about average, I think, to start thinking about marriage. And yeah, so I gave him an ultimatum to change his life. Like I left the street life before he did. And I knew what I wanted. And I knew the most important thing was my son at that point. And raising him up properly in a better environment. And so, yeah, I gave him an ultimatum and he stepped up to the plate.
That's what's up. I want to welcome in a famous lady, for me anyway. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah, these are my introductions, okay? You know what I'm saying? I choose them wisely, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to do jokes yet because I don't know you like that. I usually do a different introduction for everybody, right? I've reached out to Security Boss, and she has been so gracious to be on the channel. One of the things that she does is she does a really good job of letting people know her stance specifically. Like she's unapologetic about where she stands, and she's pro-marriage. And so, you know, I love in talking to people that are pro-marriage. So you can catch Security Boss on YouTube, and where else? Security Boss.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Unsolicited Security Boss, SB Live, SVU Live. So all of those.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I just got done with another show, so I'm so glad I was able to come and visit. And this is outstanding because I love to see married folks together talking about love. This is like outstanding to me. So I appreciate this.
Absolutely. So we're going to bring you on into the fold, and I'm going to kind of tell you what the question is, right? The question is, when you met your husband, you know, there was a situation or a time period where y'all said y'all going to get serious, and then you got serious, and y'all having these conversations about getting married maybe. But what was a point in time where you may have had doubt? You may not have had doubt, but let's say that you did have some doubts about if this guy was the one. Okay, then how did you overcome that doubt to say that, yeah, I think he is the one? If you didn't have any doubts, how were you able to just be consistent in moving towards that finish line?
Well, mine is a little different because my husband and I got married like in 6 months. I met him like a year earlier, and I heard Tavares, I think it was, Martavius, excuse me. I met my husband in a nightclub also. He was the bouncer. I was the lug of the club. And we met, but at the time I was in school, so I wasn't ready to have a significant other per se. So we talked and we was friendly, but I was like, I'm not ready for what you were ready for, because he was a serious minded person and he knew what he wanted. So like a year later, we met again. At this time, I'm ready. I'm feeling this. So it kind of went really quick for us. So I didn't have any doubts prior. My husband was very confident. He knew what he wanted. It was no game plan. I was my husband's second wife, so he knew what he wanted. I guess I might have been the issue. But after I got married, there was a time where I can't even tell you what actually brought this on now, but there was a time where I packed up the whole house and I was like, I'm out. And I don't know right now, I couldn't even tell him at the time where the doubt came from or what was going on with me, that I just felt like I made a mistake or what have you. But the thing is he came back home before I was completely out. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's you. What did I do? I don't know. You just not it's just not working for me. What's not working for you? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. And this is just honest, y'all. This is what I had for him. I was 25 years old. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it, but it's something. And I just, so, after many years, I just felt like it must have been fear. Just what I was feeling as, being a wife and the typical things that people say as far as I'm a woman and I'm losing myself. I didn't know God as well as I do now, didn't have the wisdom that I have now, so I didn't understand it. But what kept me going is that my husband is a God-fearing man. He will pray. He will pray over me, with me, for me, all of that. And he did that day. So instead of battling the situation, trying to figure out what is wrong with this girl or what have you, he prayed over me. We just sit there and had a time where it was just that vulnerable period where we just worked it out. And I did not leave the house. I packed it up, but we didn't leave. I didn't leave. And that kept us for 28 years to where we are now. And this year will be 28 years. That was probably like my second year, maybe second or third year of being married. So it kept me for another 25 years to where I am now. And this year will be 28 years.
Was that you, Prototype? Was that your celebration music?
No, that was Mr. Boss.
That's what's up.
Mr. Boss is always here with me. Yeah, if y'all don't know who I am, Mr. Boss is my husband. He's the person that turns on. Just YouTube is actually him. I just sit here and talk. He turns on the camera, turns it off. He has his what do you call those things? Sound effects and everything. So that's how he participates.
That's what's up. Team in effect.
Yeah.
Team in effect.
It's a team effort.
So how it goes is that after you finish your answer, you get to choose who goes next.
Okay.
Dia has already went, and then Montavious has already went, and so you get to choose who goes next.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. I don't know y'all. I know
Hey,
I do know my buddy over here, Ricky.
Hey,
but let's see, Dwayne, since you're beside me, go ahead and go next.
All right, thank you, and welcome. I'd say as for doubts, no, I was in it to win it.
Your mic a little low. Listen, you might as well have been on mute, Dwayne.
Hey, let me make it, man. At least okay. No, as for doubts, no, I didn't have any doubts because I was in it to win it. By that time, I was like, I knew what I wanted. We had the conversation of what she wanted. We're going in the same direction, similar mindset. We both feared and loved the Lord, so I think it is for faith. We both had the faith that it was going to work out, so we stuck with it. So no, I didn't have any doubts. I knew it was going to be difficult, so hunker down. Let's go with Shan. You went yet? All right, come on with it.
I guess my story is similar to, is it SBU?
I just SB is fine.
SB,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where the doubt came in after the marriage had already ensued. That first year was a rough year of learning how to actually share an intimate space with somebody, because I was 23 when I got married. And so I had never lived with a man. He had never lived with a woman, so learning how to share an intimate space with each other, learning how to be a wife was very complicated. Him learning how to be a husband and lead. He had been leading himself, but now you have a person that you're responsible for. And so I think that was difficult. We did a lot of clashing, understanding each other's love language and what it took for us to respect what the other person needed was quite difficult for us in that first year. And there were many times I got in my car and drove, and I mean miles upon miles upon miles. I got halfway to Houston one time because that's where my parents live, and turned around and came back, but the driving, just talking to God, that really helped. Also, the counseling that we were able to get in that first year kind of helped to eradicate some of those thoughts about wanting to separate and just go do our own thing. But getting into the marriage, once we had made a decision, I think we were both locked in. It was the coming together and learning how to live together and to be with one another and support each other. that brought about doubt. I would say possibly for the both of us at that time. So let's kick it over to Shay.
Okay, I would say in the beginning, no doubt, but we were young as well, and then we ended up getting married after 3 months, so it happened very fast. So the doubt didn't come until probably like year 3, I would say. Um, where we're really getting to know each other, right? Because it's like that first year is just like that honeymoon phase, and that second year you're really getting to know each other. Then, because we didn't really date for a long period of time, so it's like two strangers really coming together and trying to get understanding about who we are as individuals and who we are as a couple. And so that third year was rough. It was really rough because I didn't even understand my role at the time of what I should have been doing as a wife, right? And I didn't really know what that looked like. I hadn't seen it but in my grandparents. And then, of course, that was totally different from what we were building. Um, so I would say that year 3, and so it just came just really trying to learn each other and understand and navigate. This person is different, and then when you're young, you're still maturing as well. So who I was at that time, when we initially got married, I'm growing into a different woman, right? And same for him. And so then that became very difficult to understand, okay, who is it we are even growing up to be or growing into as individuals. And so that's when I would say it ensued. All right, who hasn't went yet? Prototype. Okay, go ahead.
Oh man, so when do I have doubts?
That's not what I asked, Prototype.
What's the question?
Okay. I know it's not scrolling, but this is what I asked. This is probably the third time that I'm saying. This is what it'd be like in class, huh, Shane? Like this in class. Okay, the question is, have you had doubts before? Like when you was in the courting phase, were there doubts? If there were not doubts, how did you just move straight to the finish line? If there were doubts, how did you overcome those doubts and still pursue
her? Nah, there was definitely doubts. Not necessarily doubts, but there were just like not enough. You know what I mean? Like it worked, but maybe I can get more. So man, what kind of got me over it is I had 2 kids before her from another situation, and when I got full custody of them, I said, man, I need a mom in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it kind of like, let me expedite this thing and get these kids a mom. So that's kind of how it all it was enough for me then. You know what I'm saying? When I got full custody of my kids, I was just like, well, there's nobody out here. You know, I've been outside long enough, and I need a nuclear situation. So let me just go ahead and move forward with what I have going on. So that's kind of how it happened. I mean, it's nothing magical, as some of you guys might have, but it was just a situation. So let's go with
I think it's Ricky. Like
Ricky.
Yeah.
Chilling. I ain't never doubted. Did I have influences that put stuff in my head? Yeah. Right. Yeah. But me, as far as I never doubted it. Right. I think most men don't. That's why we ask y'all. But I had outside influence, people trying to tell me what to do, and they never get it right. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like I said, people they use everything's a lesson, right? And everybody are examples, and it's up to you to pay attention to what's what. You know what I'm saying? But how I got over it, I just stopped listening to the people I thought counted. They didn't count. They didn't count at the end of the day, right? And it's like I said, because even if they don't agree with your situations, they should still want the best for you. If they really with you, right? So I just stopped listening to them, man, and put myself into my relationship, right? I understand you growing into two different people, but we're supposed to be growing into one together. At the end of the day, we are one, right? So that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing. Once I got over that, it got real easy. It got real easy. Because a lot of times, I'm just being honest, when it comes to two people that dedicated themselves and really know what it's about, 9 times out of 10, it ain't y'all. It ain't y'all. Y'all be letting other people in y'all stuff. That's the problem.
Who's the y'all you referring to? Like women or men or anybody?
No, anybody. Men and women both, right? If people just stayed in their relationships and stopped comparing and letting other people gauge their relationship, you will be all right. Because it don't matter what it looked like to nobody else, but to a lot of people, what the outside world see matters, especially when it comes to their relationship. These is facts. Right? It don't matter. I don't care what it looked like to y'all. I keep trying to tell. I could care less. My wife loved me, and she know I love her. That's all I got.
Anybody want to respond to that?
I don't know. I definitely care what it looked like. You know what I mean? Like, especially when I have certain criteria. Like, you got to look good at the Christmas party type deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't take you to the Christmas party, you ain't the one. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't believe in the one either. So yeah, I feel like anybody could be the one as long as, you know, you have an environment for them to be, you know, to play the role you need them to play. I just don't believe in like anybody special. Everybody is, you know, everybody, and they'll act accordingly based on who you are and what you can provide. And I'm not talking about like financially, you know what I'm saying, spiritually, you know, any of that, you know what I'm saying? So
that's an interesting statement. I want to hear what the panel would have to say. Do you believe that there is the one? Do you believe that there's the one?
I believe it's a one for you.
The reason why I asked, because Prototype has said before that he feels like he could have made any woman a wife on the strength of who he is.
That has yet to be proven.
I mean, that's my anecdotal experience. Like anybody I dated, I could have made my wife.
I'm saying, but it's, like you said, it's your experience. I ain't knocking it.
I have a question for Prototype. You said that as long as you look good at the Christmas party. So what happens if an accident, God forbid, takes place? She becomes disfigured. How do you?
I'm not a savage. I'm not a savage now.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the general concises, you know what I'm saying? But I am picky to that degree, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I stopped dating a woman before because she had migraines. Like, you know, like I am that kind of picky. So, I mean, call it what, I don't have any health issues and I don't like people with health issues, but that's just me. I wouldn't know. I don't think it's not within me to deal with those kind of things. I'll say that, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't deal with them. So I'm not going to be empathetic to somebody with health issues. Now, if that happened while in the process of, you know, like I said, I'm not a complete savage, but if that happened, like, you know, say she got in a car accident and she lost both her legs or so, I'll push her in a wheelchair. It's all good. You know what I mean? That's different. You know what I'm saying? But off the rip, like, no, that's just not like
push her in a wheelchair.
Say that again.
I said push her where in the wheelchairs?
Everywhere.
I was just asking.
I'll push her everywhere, through the park to the Christmas party. We showing up in the wheelchair, like, you know what I'm saying? We everywhere. I'm gonna strap her into the roller coaster. We go to the amusement park, like the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? But that's stuff that the love is there. You know what I'm saying? Once you love somebody, you love somebody. But to start off though, like, you got to have a certain look criteria. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I look at the mama, I look at what her dad looked like, I look at the whole family structure. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not one to deal with certain things, and it's just not within my wheelhouse. So I don't.
Okay.
I mean, to each his own, right? I mean, that's what we talk about. Like, if that's your criteria, then that's your criteria, right? I think that, I mean, some people don't like people's criteria, which is interesting to me. We talk about this all the time in the manosphere, right? Where men can't really have a criteria, but women can, right? But if you go to a college, they have a particular criteria. You can't be like, you got to change it because mine don't fit that. Right? We just got to accept what that criteria is, and if we don't meet that, then we just need to move on. That's similar to what Ricky was saying. He said, "No early and move on." Right? Don't waste people's time. So I think that's connected to like knowing exactly what it is that you want in a person, right? And knowing who you are as a person, so that you both are not wasting each other's time. Now, if that's what y'all so desire is that y'all just want to have this fling thing, then make sure that each one of y'all know that though, right? And so somebody has something to say to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I saw some people say that it was shallow, but really you got to operate within your own capacity. If that is what your capacity is, then you got to respect it. Then you like, that isn't the one for you, right? Then you date within whatever your criteria is. So if you don't want a wife who's sickly, then that's your prerogative, because I do have a friend who his wife is very sickly. And so although he does very well with her and meets her needs and he's a great husband to her, if it happens again or if anything happens and he does it twice, he said that's on his list. It's too much. He would not want to date a person with health issues. So it's just people operating within their own capacity and what their desires are. And you make your list or whatever it is, you make your criteria and you date accordingly.
I think that's pretty fair because, it's kind of like a eugenics, how you can kind of put the best together and come out and create the best. But I'm not going to say all, but for me, I would want to know if there was schizophrenia in my husband's background, or if there was some other type of mental illness or something of that nature. I would want to know that too, because I don't think that I would want to marry somebody and we bring kids into the world that would be, maybe have that. Even sickle cell, I think I would want to know too. I think that's pretty fair. We don't, sometimes most of us probably don't check into that, and then we get married and then we deal with what we have to deal with. But I think if we were more open and told individuals to like make this a part of your courting, your vetting, or what have it, then it may be best for us. I don't know if there's a problem with that. It may not ever happen or what have you. It could be good, or, it could be 20, 30 years, everything's perfect, but, set yourself up for the best, outcome as possible. I think that's kind of what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a tough one because, whenever we share our vows, it's, until death do us part. Along that journey, though, which can be an extended period of time, a short period of time, are we willing to stick in there no matter what? And I think it's a part of life. So as y'all were saying this, I know this might be a little off, but imagine being in a relationship with your partner and y'all get pregnant and you find out that child has Down syndrome. I think that's one of those things, like that's that pivotal point in time where some people will say that, hey, they don't have the capacity in order to go through it. And I think some of those people that are willing to go through those instances and those circumstances are some very resilient people. And I look at it from the outside like, man, that would be tough. But if it came down to it, man, I got to do what I got to do. And to me, that's one of those things where it's a whole lot of character building. Sometimes I joke about character building, but that's really, really what it is, because from the outside looking in, right, there's some people that leave their spouse as they're going through it, sick, cancer, all these other things, and they leave their spouse like at the time that they need the most. And I think that's heartbreaking, because as a partnership, that's exactly what it is. Like, we in it through the thick and the thin. And I know that's grimy what we talk with, what we're sitting here talking about, like a severe injury or a disability of some sort that comes down the line, we can't tell the future. But at the end of the day, I hope if it's flipped around and it's on us, where we're not as strong as we are, like Prototype. You just don't have the energy to hit the gym because you're going through it. I think those are the times where I would need somebody in my life for that. And I because of that, I have to be primed and prepare myself for those instances. Like, hey, we in it for the long haul. We in it for to win it to the end. So whatever comes, it is what it is. But I ultimately think, but I know God has a plan for whatever it is that is to come in my life. I just pray that it is all, well, it's not all joy. Well, it is. We should count it all joy. But I know that it is not going to be as I plan, right? There will be surprises that may come along the way. But I just for me, like I said, Val, like, yeah, I'm in it. Like, no matter what. As Sir Charles would say, I already saw her feet, so I already approve.
That's good. Somebody had something to say?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like he said, Prototype, I'm gonna dig at you a little bit. You said there ain't no one. Yeah, it is. She's the one. Yes, she is.
No such thing.
Yes, it is.
No
I know you
such
don't.
thing.
You ain't got to believe it. You ain't got to believe it. But she's the one.
I mean, she's the one. Yeah, but we ain't going nowhere. But
I know.
It don't. It's like there's no such thing as the one. You know what I mean? I think people spend too much time waiting on the one, expecting to be the one, and I just don't think it exists. You know what I'm saying? I think God gives you the sense to make the best decisions you have with the information He's giving you. You know what I'm saying? And with that, you're supposed to pick wisely. You know what I'm saying? And deal with whatever comes with it after that. You know what I mean? Stick to your decisions, ride the gun. You know what I mean? However many quotes and sayings we come with it. You know what I mean? But live with your decision. You know what I'm saying? But there is no perfect one, or she was this or she was that.
Didn't say perfect. Didn't say perfect.
I mean, I don't even gotta say perfect, but the one. The one does not exist.
The one does exist for you. Right? For us, for me.
For anybody.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because the point is that you have your rules and regulations and non-negotiables, right? Right. And your wife accepts them, correct? She's the one.
But I could have got a lot of people to accept those rules, criteria.
That's what you believe. That's what
I know.
That's
what I know. That's what I know.
No, it's not, because if that's what you knew, you'll still be in it.
No, not necessarily. Because sometimes you can't. What you want? Eat all the cookies?
No.
You just need one cookie. You don't get to eat all the cookies.
This is a false premise, because what you're saying is that if you set a stimuli that every woman's going to respond the same way, that's not true.
No, I'm not saying that, but many. I have my options. You know what I'm saying? And
okay, I understand it. But you picked one of them, right?
I picked one.
Thank you. It's the
pick one and go with it.
She's the one. Correct. She's the one.
Run the play. Yeah, that's it.
Yep, she's the one.
Did you say run the play?
Run the play.
I seen your face do something, SB. What was that? What did you hear something that was interesting?
Well, I was just thinking about what he was saying, because often I'm going to Prototype this time, because if my husband were to pass away, would I be married again? I think I would be. So that would mean I would have another. So then in that case, I would go with Prototype, saying that my husband is the one for now, but there could be another one also. So am I saying the opposite, or am I just making what they're both saying true? Because I definitely could. I'm a wife. So there would be another man for me if my husband were to pass away. So I'm kind of leaning to what Prototype is saying, but I think he's asking the question, like, because that woman had to be for you also. And I think that's the part that we kind of missing. She had to adapt to you. So I think you taking for granted that that's going to be something that all women would be able to do.
I think women adapt to men. I think that's just what they do. I don't think they can even help but adapt to the man that they're attracted to. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So women adapt to men. They take on their name. They take on how they want them to be. That's just what happens. You know what I'm saying? If she's into you, she'll adapt to you. She'll start walking like you. She'll start wearing what you wear. She'll wear what you like. You know what I'm saying? My man like my hair like this. He likes what I cook like this. She'll adapt to you. That's what women do. They adapt.
So you're saying that could be any, well, I'm my husband's second wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that means somewhere along the line, there was a woman that didn't adapt. So
I
think that would be,
I didn't say all women, but most,
Oh.
like there's a women adapt to men they like.
Okay.
That's just what they do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if she's not adapting to you, then she don't like you. But women adapt to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I
But
think
isn't it adapting to each other though? Isn't it a mutual adoption? Adaption?
No,
No, it's not.
Hmm.
Women adapt to men.
No, I well, as for a relationship, it's like a sync, in sync, to be in sync with each other. Like both y'all have to be in tune with each other in order to for the deepest level of intimacy, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
maybe I would say you're mistaken, because I mean, you got to think of it as your company, right? As the man, you're a company. You know what I'm saying? And you make your employees comfortable so they can work better for you. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what you mean by adapting, the company is adapting to the workers so they can work better and more efficient to make the company grow. But that's just how it is. Like your workers, if you set up the incentives, you put the benefit package up. You know what I'm saying? You get some plus couches or there. You put some plants up to make it comfortable. They're gonna stay and work a little bit harder and be whatever. You know what I'm saying? You give them health benefits, then they'll work harder. Like, this is a good company. I ain't leaving. I ain't doing. You know what I'm saying? They'll stick with you. So you got to think about it like that. You know what I'm saying? But initially, we, like men, were simple. You know what I'm saying? So like, we'll go buy nice couches, nice cars, nice houses. But why we do that stuff? It's to make women be attracted to and being comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would live in a hut if it was just about us. But we do all this other stuff to make the environment comfortable. Why? So because you want a woman to come in there and make it a home. You want to, build your family, build your legacy. You know what I'm saying? So you adapt that way, but she adapts to what you need. You know what I'm saying? Because you're the company.
I actually think that's a compromise. We do the adapting. Women adjust to their husbands. We do. And the whole thing is to become one with your mate, which is just being on one accord, being of like minds. But women are the ones that do the adapting or the adjusting.
Supposed to.
Of course.
D, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, because it needs to be reciprocal. So I agree kind of with what Prototype said, but it's still a give and a take. It may not be said or it's blatant, but it's got to be reciprocal or resentment is gonna come in. It's only so long that it'll be one-sided. And I don't care how much time passes, she's just not gonna keep adapting. It's got to be a give and a take.
And this the thing too. What again? Like you said, Prototype. She likes you. You see what I'm saying? Like it didn't matter how well the do you was, right? Or if the woman see the benefit package at the end of the day, she got to rock with you for it to be right, right? Because otherwise, it's just a transactional relationship, correct? Right. So that's why I say there's a one, right? It's thousands of men out here busting their butt every day for a woman who don't rock with them for real, because you see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. It's not about setting the environment. She has to be the one for you. She got to rock with you.
Well, yeah, I would say there's a base, but are you going to say, like, come on, you going to say there's only one woman that liked you?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. There's not one woman that likes you.
Hey, then that's okay then. That's okay.
Yeah, did you finish your thought?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I was just saying it needs to be reciprocal. It doesn't matter. Both parties are gonna adapt. That's just I can't see it being any other way. A woman adapting predominantly, I don't know. I really can't speak to that because we started out so young, so we naturally bounced off. We grew up together. So it may be different. I really haven't had an experience where I had to just adapt. I think we learned each other. We grew from each other. We raised each other. And I married my husband. He was sick, and I married him anyway. That didn't affect my ability. So I adapted to that. But the goal was to get him better because we knew we could. And that's what we did. So, I mean,
I think you
Yeah.
have that benefit because y'all started so young.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I'm
what I'm
saying?
saying. So
Like once you
I
hit
get it.
adulthood, it
Yeah.
becomes kind of transactional. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're young and it's really just I rock with you, you rock with me. There's nothing that we're trying to get off each other. We enjoy the vibe. We're having fun. We're kids or whatever. Like probably like high school, middle school. That's the last time you really gonna get somebody that genuinely care about you from initial jump. You know what I'm saying? Once you become an adult, it's more of a or do you have somewhere to stay? Do you got this? Do you got that? Blah 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 blah. blah XYZ. Are you funny? Are you this? You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more complicated, you know, with dating. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying everybody deals with that, but that's kind of how it is.
So, Tay, what you got on it? You seem to be listening. What's your perspective?
I'm just taking it. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm taking it all in. And for me, I think when I hear everybody speaking, and we just talked about in terms of just is there a one for you? I think there's one that's more than just effort. There's one for you that's worth the commitment. There's one for you that's worth building trust. There's one for you that's worth you being vulnerable too. Men, we don't like to be vulnerable, but I believe there's one that you're willing to let your walls down and talk about things other than sex too. And so for me, I think it just comes with maturity, and I think it comes with being willing and open to learn from other people. Because people hear me all the time, and what people don't understand about me and my wife, we're young, but we sit in a room with people who've been married for 20, 30, 15 plus years because we understand one thing, like with that experience, you had to go through some things, and you're not going to tell us everything from the mountaintop. You're going to talk about your valleys, and that's what we want to know, because even in a young marriage, like we went into it going into counseling. So like we coming from that standpoint, it's like, okay, marriage isn't just, you get married, you have the honeymoon, and then you just starting up here. It's like, no, you starting in the valley, and now you got to start climbing and building this thing together. So for me, I think when you talk about the one, are you worth that to me? And I think when you decide, and we decide we want to get serious with you, and we ask that question, that's us telling that person that you're worth that to me. And for the women, on the most part, their commitment to you is saying yes as the same thing. So when we talk about like, is there one for you? Like I played college football. Like I traveled so I've been so many states. Like people told me I don't say it about myself, you're a good looking young man. So like with women, like there was a lot of immaturity. So like I chase women as well. So like when I say I saw my wife and I said she's gonna be my wife, it wasn't from that immaturity standpoint. This was coming from a guy that's been through the ringer, who's done things that I try to teach my girls how to how to recognize these things, but also teach my boys like to appreciate women at an even deeper level. So when I saw my wife, it was like, okay, this woman is my wife. So the effort that I'm giving her now, I can't just give this to her and then get to the wedding day and then it has to stop. Now, once you get to that wedding day, now you really have to start building. But at the same time, you can't do what your uncle did because his marriage didn't last. You can't do what your dad did because his marriage didn't last. You can't do what your granddaddy did, even though his marriage lasted. We know back then, grandma and them, they ain't have nowhere to go. So they had to stay with grandpa. They had to put up with everything. So I understood from that standpoint that you need to get around people who's been through these things and they've dealt with it in a healthy way. And that's what I've done. And that's why I continue to show up with people like you guys who talk in a healthy environment about the good, the bad, the indifferences and opinions and all of these things, because I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna learn from you guys, because I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn. And I know there's a lot of value in this right here, and there's a lot of things that I can go and just implement in my marriage, because at the end of the day, we can talk about it all day long. But I said it before, you want to be famous in your home, because if you're not, you can get on this Zoom and speak it up all night. And if you go to bed and you have to sleep in the other room, like that's a bad feeling. So for me, I want to be able to take what I'm telling you guys, and my wife can get on this Zoom and she can say, yep, and she can agree with everything that we're talking about. So I think you guys have a lot of valid points, and I think this can go just about any which way that you want it to go. But at the end of the day, like, you have to understand this is your value system, this is what you're building on, and you have to stick true to that. But you have to be willing to learn, understanding that we all have cracks in our foundation, and at some point you have to be willing to let people pour into those foundations so they can shore it up for you. So that's my opinion on it.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, man. Yep.
How long after when you found Christ did you find your wife?
Oh man.
Well, so when you took Christ serious and you decided like you found your wife, what was the
I'm
time
gonna
span?
start. Okay, I graduated college 2010. So I decided to take him serious. Got baptized. My mom died when I was 15. Got baptized 16. Didn't live that way. I just got baptized because I knew it was time for that. But taking him serious probably 2012. Met my wife in 2013.
My point exactly. Had you met your wife, had you taken Christ seriously 5 years before, 10 years before, you would have seen your wife then.
I wouldn't have saw her. I
You would have
wasn't
seen her.
ready.
You would have seen her. Whenever you took Christ seriously, that's when you decided to take a wife. That's what I'm saying. There was like your wife wasn't the one because she's the one. She's the one because you found Christ and you wasn't going to live like that anymore. But if you would have taken Christ seriously, let's say your freshman year in college, you would have seen whatever girl on the campus, and that would have been the one. That would have been your wife. You found your wife because you found Christ. So the sooner you would have found Christ,
somebody
you
agreeing
found
on here. You see that?
I agree with you. Yeah, that was my wife right there. No, I agree with you. I would have to say that, but at the same time, I don't think I would have found her.
Yeah.
And I believe that's why I found at the point that I did. I don't think God will give you something before you can handle it. My 8-year-old, he wants a Ferrari. Like, I'm not gonna tell you, hey, you're not worth getting that Ferrari. Like, no. I'm just say, dude, there's a process to this. You're not mature enough to handle that Ferrari. Like, you have to go through and do certain things. You have to get qualified by getting a permit or a driver license. Then you got to pay for it yourself. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell you like you're not worthy enough to have a Ferrari, or you're like, there's a process to it. So there's just a timing for everything. And yes, I would say the fact that I was ready and I found Christ, I wouldn't say I found him. He was always with me. That's why I got baptized at 15. I think it would just, you have to live and learn for yourself. You can't depend on your parents' faith. You can't depend on your grandparents' faith. You can't depend on other people's faith. At some point, you have to start living your faith out. And I think that's what comes in what Dwayne was talking about earlier, is that building your character. And I think my character had been tested to a point where when I said, like, I've done things my way, and now, God, I'm going to let you lead, because he's been leading me the whole time, but he's been like almost like a little puppy on the leash, like allowing me to do things. But at the same time, you know, when you get in trouble, God, answer this prayer and I'll do this right here. Like, you're making these bets with God, you're making these transactions. So it was always like you get in trouble, then you pray, and he always gets you back in alignment. So it was always something like that. But at this time, it was like, okay, I'm going to get serious and actually allow you to lead my life. And I think that's when like the knowledge and the wisdom came, because it took me back to a place this whole time when I was learning these lessons. It's almost like you got a well. Now you're not pouring just anything in your well. Now you're pouring the right wisdom. Now you're listening to the right people. Going back to what Ricky was talking about earlier, like who's influencing your life. Okay, these people are no longer influencing my life because I'm mature enough to understand I can listen to you, but I can filter out all the negativity. I can look at your life and you're an excuse of why I don't want that. These people are an example why I do want this. So now you're able to see these things in a different perspective, and now you can take actions according. So for me, it's all a mindset for me. So I can look at anybody's life and I can tell you from like I can listen to you, but does that mean I'm gonna follow what you live in? Because I see your life, I see where your steps have led you, I see what advice that you're giving, what it got you in your life, and I have to decide, is that something that I want? Do I want to take on the values and the things that you want? And if I do, I'm going to make those decisions based on what I'm learning for you. But if I don't, it's a filter. I can listen to you, everything go out, and still respect you and shake your hand at the end of the day. There's no love lost. There's no disrespect. Just listen with open mind.
Yeah, I'll
go
chime
ahead.
in because I would say mine was similar, around the similar time frame as well. I say this to people jokingly as well, that in high school, my wife and I, we knew of each other. But a little bit towards the end of high school and a little bit after high school, she wouldn't give me the time of day. And I'm like, thank God, right? Because I'd find a way to mess that up. Because I think I grew up in the church, but I wasn't living it. And I think until I started living it, that's whenever my perspective changed. And I had the ability to go out and see what was going on in the world. And then whenever I really started applying myself, started reading my Bible, like studying my Bible, reading my Bible, I see as if my vision was off, and I went to the optometrist called in the Bible, and he gave me some new lens, and I started to see things differently. And as I start to see things different, I also then saw how my actions were far off base as well. So as I started to work on myself, as for to acknowledge the plans that God has for me and desires for me, that's whenever I start to see things differently. And in that, the same woman that wouldn't give me the time of day, as we start to have these conversations, as we start to talk about these things, that's whenever we realize that we were heading in the right direction. But I say that because if at that time she was, I ain't no doubt in my mind I'd have found a way to mess that up, just like every last one before that. And it's only by the grace of God or and the knowledge of God, as for my mindset now, because outside of that, I'd have found ways to mess that up. So yes, Prototype, you bring up a good point, because as for your relationship with Christ does change the way that you have your relationships with other people, and ultimately for mine was with my wife. But if I shortly after I got serious, that's whenever we started to settle down. So even with that, like I could that have been somebody at a different time? I don't know. There's some people that find Christ and their perspective change, and they keep grinding at themselves for a long period of time, and then they find someone. So I don't think it's the time frame though. It is important, but I don't think it's.
I was saying for Martavius' particular case, it probably would be that. You know what I'm saying? Quarterback playing at a D1 college, plenty of options. You know what I'm saying? So the moment you take something serious, the moment you take Christ serious, and
looking different.
It's not that it's looking different, but you don't want to live in sin. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you like
same thing, that you're looking different. Like he said that he'd been a lot of different places, seen a lot of different people. So then his perspective changed. So the criteria of what he was looking for definitely changed. So as we transition, I think this is a good conversation for sure. But I wanted to hit this last question before we get out of here, because as we're talking about marriage, we're talking about it from our perspectives and how it works, and how we knew that the person was the one or not the one. I think that Prototype and Ricky are really actually saying similar things, right? If I speak from my own perspective, I mean, I lost a wife, right? And then now I'm about to be married again. And so I can say from my perspective that they each were the one for this particular time in my life, you know? And I can go on and on about each one of them, or what it is that they bring to me and that I bring to them. I'm definitely a different, I'm going to be a different husband to Kendra than I was to Janier, because they're two different people, right? And so as a result of them being two different people, I have to make sure that even though who I am as a follower of Christ, I still have to be like, okay, how can I serve her? Right? Because it's not going to be the same as I was serving Janier. So she's definitely the one for me right now, because she's a dope chick. You know what I'm saying? Now, could I have made anybody be a good wife or be that one or whatnot? I mean, I'm a pretty dope dude, right? But at the same time, would they like me like that? Because I'm pretty tough dude to handle at some times, because I have my own personality and it's pretty strong. Y'all just get to see the nice guy when I'm on these panels. You know what I'm saying? So the last question that I have, as we're transitioning, we're talking, the main idea is marriage a risk or reward? Is marriage a risk or reward? And this one, everybody is not you pick somebody, you go and you speak your mind, and then we'll be out of here. So whoever want to go first, is marriage a risk or a reward?
I'll say marriage is a risk. It can be rewarding, but you really don't know. I mean, when you love, you taking a chance. It's no guarantee that you're gonna get what you expecting to get. it's no guarantee that the person you fell in love with is gonna always be the person that you love. And I come to the consensus that the reason that me and my husband have been together so long is because we've never fell out of love at the same time. But I wouldn't be lying. I would be lying if I say that it hasn't been times where we haven't equally been in love. Somebody and being in love is two different things. Like loving them can be unconditional, but being in love is more of a blissful state. And I don't know how realistic it is to think that that's going to last forever. I think it's more about commitment and core values and legacy, if that's important to you. But as far as just knowing, you don't know. So it's a risk. And that's my opinion.
I think it's both. A marriage is an investment, and
Just
anytime.
for the record, Shan.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Both.
Did you see that? I know what I did. I didn't put it on the screen. That's on me. You know what I'm saying? Do you see?
I see or. I'm
Okay.
understanding exactly what or means.
Okay.
I'm an educator, and I still say both. God bless your soul.
Please do.
Yes, or means either or. I'm aware. I can read well, but I'm still going to say both, like I stated before. Marriage is an investment, and so when we, in practical terms, make investments, both can happen, right? When we make an investment into, Ms. Shay knows about the bond stock, all those things, right? We are taking a risk that our money may be taken away from us, but we also know that if we play it right, if we listen to our financial advisor, then we will have a reward. So what are you doing in your marriage? Yes, it's a risk. However, the longer you're in it, the longer you're in an investment, the more rewarding it can be. And sometimes it's even rewarding when things terrible happen, because it's a learning experience. It changes who you are. It makes you a better person. And so failure is how we grow. The arguments are how we grow. We learn how to better communicate. Things that happen with our children, we learn how to better grow. So those are still rewards, even though it is a risk. So I'm going to stick with my answer. Humble.
Listen, Shan,
Doctor.
Shan, it's doctor, but it's okay. We family, you know what I'm saying? We can't
I know.
take
I love you so much.
All right. Who got next?
I guess I'll go next since the women are going. I think it's definitely a reward. It's a reward for me because I think that I'm in order. I'm in order with what my Creator has told me I'm here for. I was here to be a wife, and that's what I'm doing. My purpose is to be married, fruitful, tell everybody about the goodness of God, and that's what I'm doing. I think my husband is a covering. We made a covenant a long time ago. The covenant was with God to do his will, to make sure that everybody know he's the person that we are living for. And that's the reason why I think it's reward, because being single, I mean, you got good life and bad life, but I would rather be covered. I would rather be covered in order, fulfilling my purpose. So that's why it's
Dearly beloved.
That's my husband. So that's why it's a reward for me.
Oh, you, Shay?
All right, I figured so. Since all the women went first, I was with where Shan was. It's both risk and reward, but I saw how you tried to come sideways, so I'm gonna stay in my lane and still say risk and reward because that's my lane. So it is. I think when before, right? Like before you engage in the act, or in those early times when you're still trying to figure it out, it can be risky, but ultimately it is rewarding, and it is a reward for your single life laboring to have and be able to build your future, your legacy. And as SB stated, having that covering, because there is power in that covering. Like, things really change, generations change when you have that with marriage, right? Because you do have that covering. And so I do think the rewards far last the risk. But when done correctly or even done incorrectly, there are still rewards from that. I believe that God blesses marriage, so it is a reward. All right, so Martavius.
Yeah, definitely for me, I'm going to say it is a reward, and I think it's just perception. It's how you view it. And for me, I'm going to I'm going to perceive ours as being a reward because it's something I feel like I just feel like it's a great thing. That's something I always wanted because in my life, like my mom and dad got divorced right after I was born, and then when she finally decided to get married again, like she passed away. So for me, I always wanted to see that because I always wanted to be raised in a home with that. So with that being for my kids, like there's nothing more rewarding than that. And not saying that it's easy, not saying you don't get tired, not saying you don't have arguments, not saying you don't have to get to do any of these things back. Like the good days for me far outnumber the bad days. And just going back to what Dwayne talked about earlier, he was talking about like the marriage vows, and sometimes when life get hard, people they quit. And like I said, 2 years ago, my wife almost died. And when we think about that, people don't think it's serious. My wife, she asked me while she was dying, "Are you still going to be with me?" And like it was in that moment where you hear people say that, like people ask these questions, they leave when things get hard, and to hear her actually say that was like, oh, this is a real thing. Like this is what some women may be thinking in these times. So for me, it was like, yes, like for me, and I have to remind her, like I said, go back to that vow. This is just that worst part. Like that was written in that, and we agreed to that. So I'm gonna live up my agreement. So like I said, marriage isn't just always the good days. You have to go through the valley sometimes, and when you go through the valley, I tell people all the time, when you think about a mountain, you think about a valley, everything green grows in the valley. Like it is the most greenest part of the mountain. When you get up top, is the rocks and ice and all these things. Nothing grows up there because that can live up there. The elevation is too high, but you want to get there, but you're only going to be there for a short amount of time. That's the reward. But everything else is done going on the way up that valley. And for me, I think that's what marriage is, the ups and the downs. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from a guy while getting my Jeep service, man, he said the best thing that you can do with your spouse is build history together, because marriage is a long time. That commitment is going to outlast anything. But when you go through these rough patches in your life, that's going to draw you closer to each other, and it's going to draw you closer to God. And that's when you build a history. So when you get to year 10 or year 20, you're going to look back and laugh at those things, even though you're not laughing at the time. But you're going to think about how God brought you two together closer during those times, and you're going to look back and you're going to thank him for that. And he said those are the things that's going to build the foundation for your kids, because they don't know it at the time, but when you get back and start talking about these stories, they're not going to have any idea of these things. So now you can go back and literally have and teach them lessons about some of the things that you went through in your life while they had no idea it was going on. Why? Because they was too young to realize that. So for me, marriage is definitely a reward. The Bible says the man who finds a good wife, he obtains favor from the Lord. So for me, I want to live in that favor. So for me, like I said, it is a reward. And I'll go ahead and pass mine to Dwayne.
Shan, I wanted to do what you did and double up, right? But I knew, humble dad. That's not the question. You could answer it however you want to, but that's not the question. So let me go ahead and skip out on all that, okay? I'll say it's a reward. It is a reward because yes, like you said, Marta, it is an absolute blessing. Like anytime you get to for the ability for self-growth, right? Because your wife could tick you off, your husband could tick you off, but it's not about what they did, it's how you react to it. Oh, it's tough. Oh boy, it's tough. It is tough, but every time I have to think about that, it's like I say it to my sons, right? And I'm like, son, it's not what they did to you. It's how you react. That's what's gonna get you in trouble. And I'm like, dang, that's mean. My wife is like, hey, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. I'm like, golly, come on, baby. But yes, it is definitely a reward, because yes, through those tribulation, building that character and perseverance and all of that fun stuff, because it's needed. It truly is needed. And God is able to work magnificent things within our lives whenever we're obedient, like for both parties, whenever we're obedient. So it is absolutely a blessing, because that blessing will go on for generations and generations and generations when God is in it. So absolutely, it is a reward. Come on with it, Ricky.
How can I say this? Marriage is the world. People is a reward. People are the risk, right? Because the game of marriage been laid out for centuries. Everybody know what's popping. It's choosing the wrong person that's the risk. So marriage is 100% reward. Once you I've seen it from the most, as people want to say, successful couples to the most basic couples. Once you realize what you in and you go into it, you grow exponentially as a couple. I've seen it didn't matter how much money they had, right? Once you figure out, hey, this is what I'm doing and we here for each other, they elevate exponentially, right? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, right? Marriage is what it is. We the ones who mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say here. Just hear what I said. Like you.
No,
didn't...
it's not necessary. Who didn't go? Who didn't go?
Prototype.
Go ahead, Pro.
Yeah. I hate to sound all super spiritual like you guys are sounding. Dang, you guys are like God, and if it wasn't for God, but
true, it's true. It was true.
No, but flat out though, God do bless the marriage, man, and that's you can't deny it. So that it makes it a reward. Other than that, I don't even want to speak secularly. You know what I'm saying? Like marriage is a reward, and that's just what we're gonna go with.
That sounds very spiritual to me.
That's a fact.
Good try though. Good try though, Prototype. I like it. I
heard it.
That's what's up. Hey, this has been good. I definitely have appreciated you all's take. You know what I'm saying? It started off a little slow. That's my fault, but y'all came along and provided the atmosphere and the context to the information that was needed to be shared. Like I said, it's always a privilege to shut a stage and a panel with people that are moving in the direction of promoting positive in marriages specifically, because at the end of the day, it is a reward because it was designed by God. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore it has to be good because he designed it. And that's why when Ricky said what he said, I was like, I couldn't have thought about it any other way, is that marriage is a reward. People are the risk, right? People are the one that get it wrong, right? Whether you choosing wrong or your mindset is not right. And so with that being said, treat it as if it is a reward, since it is, and you'll see the value more, in my opinion. And so without further ado, we out here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out humbledad.life to get the new merchandise. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The boy is dangerous.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Hey, what's up? If you still here, you need to go like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you like it, share it, subscribe, talk about it when you go to work or any chat that you decide to go in and be involved in. And don't forget to go check out the new merchandise in the store, humbledad.life. Y'all been real. It's been good. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.